So for those connected through the diaspora, Jesse Jackson was a leader of our group soul in the capacity that he was recognized as significant civil rights leader. No one can argue the fact that his contributions were significant. Jesse Jackson's global interest gained him respected global attention. I cannot avoid wanting to understand my connections to these things that were inspired by. Because Jesse Jackson, after going on to college, while his college experience, he latched on to the words of the great work and contribution of Martin Luther King Jr. And he became a stalwart, a great help and working supporter of Martin Luther King Jr. He's going down on record as being alongside him when he was killed, when Martin Luther King was killed. He was on the balcony with him. Inspired by the great work and contributions of Martin Luther King Jr., Jesse Jackson wanted his people and the marginalized to have a greater pride, a greater dignity, and financial showing of what they've been used to being seen as. The financial showing that his people was known to represent, he wanted better financial circumstances and conditions for his people and the marginalized people, whoever they may be. We have record numbers of Black Bermudians, men and women, I'll say, who have risen up into the political life of Bermuda and into governmental, educational, and business systems. Now, they're able to do much for their people, where at times going by, it was whites that done whatever blacks needed done for them. Whites was known to be the answer to their needs. Not so much these days, because we have men and women who have risen up into the political life of Bermuda and into the governmental and educational business systems, and are now able to do much for their people. Do the things that whites were known to be doing for our people. We have quite a few respected Black people that are in positions to do better for their people, for our people. We're in Black History Month. The colonizer made sure that systems were established to perpetuate, to turn out workers who would accommodate and maintain the status quo, to hold on and make sure that the system stayed like it was, separate and unequal. See, we can't go sleep on this, because we need to understand how much of the dregs of colonialization has done to us, to the point where we're failing today because we still have vestiges of the slave mentality and the fear in us that prevents us from moving forward and doing better things for ourselves. The colonizer, the separatist, understood that their managers of the churches, and I want you to be very careful in listening to what these 3 lines I'm about to read is saying here. I'm intentionally taking my time to say this because of the magnitude of this point that may need to be looked at closer than what we're used to doing. The colonizer, the separatist, understood that their managers, the ones that they chose to manage things, the managers of the churches, schools, public and private, if you will, don't make no mistake, public and private, banks, large and small business institutions, the managers of these areas carried out their wishes, carried out the colonializers' wishes to maintain the separate and unequal practices in the system. For a long time, the fighters in Bermuda that's associated with the same civil rights, workers' rights, that has gone on in history as being defenders of the vulnerable. People have gone down in history as giving of themselves, making sacrifices to fight against the schemes of the colonizer that was intended to mistreat and continue to have an unequal and separate system, a system that kept people separate and ruled with unequal treatment. Keep in mind, that was the hallmark of the colonizer. Many of our leaders in churches, schools, banks, large institutions in business and small institutions, they were under guidance to make sure they kept people in line, because it was a separate and unequal system, a system that managed itself to keep people separated and to be treated differently according to how they saw the value of the marginalized. Many of our black educated men and women are not situated mentally and emotionally to cooperate and stand by their commitment to make the right decisions and correct the wrongs that we know of. I'm going to repeat this. We're in Black History Month. Many of our black educated men and women are not situated mentally and emotionally to cooperate and stand by their commitment to make the right decisions and correct the wrongs that we know of. Their problem is associated with their mindset. Decolonizing must take place for successful renewal of the people and the systems. Decolonizing must take place for successful renewal of people and renewal of systems. I've reminded us on several programs, because of the value of this quote, I say it once again. We cannot manage what we cannot measure. If we don't understand the changes that was needed in order for people who were being mistreated for so long to get a better opportunity to be respected and treated fairly and justly. It was only in 1998 that the oligarch of this country had changed hands, and the first time government had ever changed hands in 1998. For any history that we know of, it's only been what, 28 years that we've had an opportunity to redirect affairs, look at the systems that was in place for centuries, intended to mistreat, separate, and treat with unequal treatment the vulnerable masses of the population. Have we, in 28 years, done what we should be happy with in addressing what needed to be corrected and what needed to be changed that would identify processes that was intended to treat people fairer, more equitably, to treat each individual as though they deserved nothing different than any other as far as opportunity? Have we stopped long enough to measure, to understand what changes we have made? Because I tell you, when I think about legislative changes are intended to assist and protect the individual. In the populace of the public, particularly when we learn to demonstrate a democratic system of governance, legislative assistance and protections are intended to protect the individual. Ownership of major institutions, along with independent thinking, is a good start towards achieving a better showing for those who deserve a better showing. I'm going to repeat this. I would like for it to be internalized for myself as well as those who are interested. Legislative assistance and protections. Ownership of major institutions, along with independent thinking. I didn't say independence, I said independent thinking, because we may not get independence anytime soon around the corner. But that don't mean that we shouldn't have a better management of our individual selves and management of the island, knowing what we have control of. The people that I know are making decisions, that are making decisions governmentally and even in big business. Some of these people we know them firsthand. See, some of them are family members. The politicians as close neighbors and school colleagues. We know these people. This beautiful island of Bermuda has the ability to have all types of strata mingling. So I feel sad. It hurts me to see how we've ended up with education being in the kerfuffle that I recognized in the last couple of weeks. I was shocked to know that it's at a state where they had to shut down the schools in order for the union, the teachers, and the education board of education and their executive, in order for the schools to be functioning correctly, they had to stop to ask some questions because they were in confusion. The length of time that we've been talking about trying to find solutions towards a better future for education for those in the public school. It was heartbreaking to know that we're at this juncture. What's the state of mind of people that we're going around in circles as though we don't know what we're doing? I'm not saying that's what it is. It appears to be like that, because the confusion should never be at this point in time, knowing the length of time we've been discussing changes in the educational system. I remember when I was down at Warwick Secondary School, and it was still named Warwick Sec. I was president of the Parent Teachers Association during the time they had the first initial discussions and meeting discussing the possibility of having a national PTA. I remember that when that first came up, and the first meeting, if my memory serves me well, was at the Berkeley Institute, before it was new, before they had that new building the way it is now, Berkeley Institute. I'll never forget that night when the representatives of the PTAs made the facts known to the Board of Education representatives. I saw the education executive who was representing the minister. He was stunned, so much so, he said that he's going to have to take the information that he heard that night, ask some questions, because he definitely didn't have no answers on the night. He was shocked to know the information that we had given him as PTA representatives. And he said, we're definitely going to get back to you as soon as possible. And he tabled he recorded all the issues of concern, and he promised the PTA members that he'll get back to the PTAs as soon as possible. Now, there was a representative of the education department that was present. I'm not going to call no names. I'm going to try my best not to call no names. It's not intended to put anybody in shame. I'm just talking about a point here that needs to be understood. When the night was over and the discussions of serious matters was brought to the forefront of what the state of affairs within the body of schools throughout the island, and they were represented by PTA representatives at that time in this meeting. Immediately after the meeting, within days, I was told, and it was confirmed, before the Board of Education had another formal meeting to bring us abreast of the findings to the questions and concerns that we had put forward to them. An executive in the education department had two of their children in Berkeley Institute at the time. They took the children out of Berkeley and put them in a private school. And I looked it up, and it was true. The individual took their children out of Berkeley after they heard the state of affairs that night of the schools and the school system. That individual took his two children out of Berkeley and put them in private school as quick as possible. I was annoyed when I heard about it. Not that I thought the individual shouldn't have done that. They had the right to do that. Every individual who could afford for their children to go to private school, if they choose to privately educate their children, that's entirely up to them. They have the right to do so. In fact, I'll go down on record as saying that I support independent efforts, and private schools is an independent effort. If people could satisfy their needs traditionally and culturally and customarily, if they feel that a private school can satisfy them, so be it. They got the right to do so. So I wasn't going against them having their children taken out of public school. But what made me think, when I recognized what that scenario represented, the school was okay until they found out how difficult things were. And rather than correct the system so that child can stay in the public school, they took the child out of the public school and put them in a private school. Because obviously, if the children were in public school, they had confidence until that confidence ran out. Now, we are stewards and decision makers for the vulnerable and the less fortunate. The ones who are depending upon government aid and assistance, they deserve to get the best opportunities and education just like any other individual or group of people that can afford to pay for the brightest minds or higher education because they could afford to pay. I believe that children in public schools should have teachers of quality, just like any other private school has. I believe we should want our children in public school to be taught by teachers who we see, based on their ability to fulfill their obligations, that they can compete and compare and be alongside of those who are succeeding in private schools. The public students deserve the same things. So this idea of not looking out for the interests of the vulnerable or not understanding what needs to be changed, because we're at the point now in our discussions presently that we needed to have a change of system. And it's been discussed for years. And now we're indicating that we're in a position of confusion where the teachers don't understand what's expected of them to do. At one point in time where they had to shut the schools down to have answers and to be given information for them to be to better fulfill their role as teachers in the interest of and protection of the children? Many of our black educated men and women are not situated mentally and emotionally to cooperate and stand by their commitment to make the right decisions and correct the wrongs. Their problem is associated to their mindset. Decolonizing must take place for successful renewal of the people and the systems. And I quote, decolonizing must take place for successful renewal of the people and the systems. Well, we have the lines flashing right now, and that was the last of my monologue, so I'm going to go right to the lines. Then as soon as I put my finger on the button, it stopped ringing. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. So without a doubt, that's the way I feel tonight. That's my contribution to balance, to Black history on this lovely Tuesday evening. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. Those of us who know better, we are in a time where doors of opportunity are open for us to go through with courage and conviction. Why? Because to whom much is given, much is required. Calling on Balance Matters.
Yes, good evening, cousin. How you doing?
Okay, yes, good evening. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm
good.
Blessed. I'm blessed from the activity that took place at the St. Paul's AME Church last Sunday.
Okay.
I said that singing and stuff like that there, it remind me of back in the day. Especially they had the instruments there, and I'd like to see it, like if it was continuing. But we're coming back. We're coming back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I was talking to you about the communities.
Yes.
I tell you that I've been down Crow for the last 50 years, and I ain't seen you. And we got families, separate families. You didn't feel bad, did you?
I what? Say that again?
I said you didn't feel bad, did you?
I don't feel bad at all, no.
That's what's happening.
Yes.
Anyway, that thing
I get your point.
Allison Funeral Hall or from Burns Bank. You have some top dogs in there, man. Musicians and I don't know. I was just blessed. Yes. I guess you've got some people there who want to talk about it also, so I'll get off the line.
Okay, my friend.
Okay?
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for your call.
Yes. Just remember about the immature people now. Okay?
Yes. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. We cannot separate ourselves as a people who have a group soul. I believe that it's worth putting some emphasis on the concept of a group soul. Wherever we find people that has a history of being part of the transatlantic slave trade, we had similar treatment, similar hurts. similar burdens. The fight was difficult, and wherever we may be found throughout the Americas, we had strong people who found the courage, found the strength to fight until they were freed of slavery. And then those same people who fought and were blessed to succeed in becoming free, they fought against the systems that was never intended to give them justice and equality. It was never intended to give the slave justice and equality. Once we were freed, strong human beings found the courage to start removing those obstacles that was intended to be in their way to prevent them from having a clear door open for them to walk through for opportunities to be taken advantage of. We have people in our history, and Jesse Jackson is one of them. I say only because of his passing this morning. I mention his name because we want to recognize in understanding the history that comes along with his life. We could see a lot of similarities with different people at different times in different locations around the world. Why? Because we had the same struggle against the same systems. It's no coincidence that we could make such a connection to people with a shared experience. Calling you on Balanced Matters.
Well, good evening. How are you?
I'm thankful, my dear.
On this chilly evening. Oh, God.
I'm thankful.
Oh, yes, I am too.
Yes.
I wish I could capture it in a bottle and save it for the summer. I'm here listening to your regular weekly talk.
Yes.
And I'm saying, call. And I'm saying, don't call. I'm going to say something, and I know people will probably be upset with it, but this is what I truly, truly, truly believe. I believe that people who opt to work in public education should be required to have their children in public education. Because if it's good enough for you to work there, it should be even better for your children to attend, because then you would take a vested interest in what goes on in the public system. I was told by someone in education, well, we can't make people do that. Why not? That's my question. Why not? I don't know, but I do feel that public education needs to have people who are committed to that.
Yes.
And people probably need to read the book that was written by Dr. Joseph Christopher or Random Walk Through the Forest.
Yes.
Because then they will understand or be given knowledge and understand why things are the way they are when it comes to education. I'm not going to say anything else. I'll just throw that out there and see what spreads I catch.
You know, with you mentioning and having us to reflect on what the children deserve, I believe that question deserves to be given the attention that you've given it. I wish we would spread ourselves thin enough to want to understand how much these children need for us to understand this. I tell people all the time, every time I get a chance to, whenever I'm talking privately, when it came around to me making decisions in my community, it was because I was in the community looking out for the interests of my children, and I couldn't separate my children from the community. So I had to also elevate the community the same way I was striving to elevate my own children. And it allowed me to be accountable across the board, because I do not want to be in the category of being hypocritical.
Exactly.
Or wanting to see my child as deserving more than the next child.
That's right. Exactly.
Now, that don't mean that I need to be equal and alongside someone else. No, I give everybody the right to choose. They all got the right to make their own decisions. But when it comes down to the outcome of our children, when we see that their outcome is not good, we shouldn't be comfortable. And I'll never forget that meeting when I was up at the Barclay that night. When we presented certain information to the board, I was annoyed at how much they didn't know. And some of the facts, it wasn't somebody's feelings. This was
factual knowledge.
Supported factual knowledge. It wasn't nobody's feelings that night. That's why and I gave a lot of credit to the executive from the Board of Education. He didn't try to flop it that night and make it sound like he knew. He said, no, I wasn't aware of a lot of these things, and we need to take it back to the board and ask the right questions to the right people and get back to you all. So I appreciated that response. I really did. As much as I was disappointed to know that they didn't know, because they should have known.
Well, what should I say without incriminating myself?
Well,
you only know what you're told, and you only know if you ask the right questions. And the correct probing questions.
Yes. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I hear what you're saying. I feel what you're saying, really.
Yes, it's a sad situation. I really, from knowing Dr. Christopher, and from reading his book and coming from an educational background, people, my family.
Yes.
It's sad what I'm seeing happen, but it still can be fixed. Yeah. People in the positions that they are, if they don't know, ask. Yes. You have tons of people in our community that have given their life's blood for public ed.
Yes.
But you never get asked, what do you think? They come to you and they tell you what it's going to be. But not necessarily those decisions are based on the people who are in the system, who've had the time, who've worked it, put their families at risk, if I can say it like that, because these children and the schools that they work for and are their family. And oftentimes you're never asked.
Excuse me.
You've just been summoned to meetings and told this is the way it is. And I guess when people have been in a system for a long time, and have had this beaten into their head for a long time, they get to the point where they just say, I'll just go back to my school and do what I have to do for my kids, rather than arguing. But to me, if you don't respond, then they feel you've accepted.
Yeah.
We have to fight for our children. You know, I'm a retired educator.
Yes.
And I told my staff, these babies that are sitting in front of you today are the adults that are going to take care of you 40 years from now.
Yeah.
And you're going to be a senior, and you're not going to be in a position, many of us, to demand at stuff, etc.
Yes.
If you're not doing the right thing for them, and I'll give you an example, you're a senior, and you're going to the bus stop, and you're trying to get on the bus. And the person who's driving the bus is the person that you really didn't treat very well when you were an educator. What do you think they're going to do?
Yes.
But that's another discussion for another night. But I'll just leave it there.
Thank you very much for your contribution, my dear. I appreciate it very much.
No problem.
The rest of a great evening.
And thank you for listening. And hopefully other people will call in.
I have all the time to listen, my dear.
I know. I know you well. You used to cut my hair.
I know the voice. I got the voice.
All righty.
Have the rest of a great evening.
Have a good evening. Okay, bye-bye.
The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. This period that we're in, February, Black History Month, we should want to do the best we can in getting us to communicate. We need to communicate more than we've ever needed in the past. Because when we think about what's the needs, like I recall the first time I heard a perspective like this, where you go to have a race and the people that's lining up for the race, it's a couple people up front, in front of the start line, and we're wondering how come they're not behind, alongside where I'm starting. And the official said it's because they've been around for a while and they're starting in the advanced position because they have been doing things this long and they don't need to be down the back where these beginners are starting the race. But we're going to run the race to see who wins it. Now, it may sound silly to hear that scenario, but when we think about people who have had a head start in managing their life's affairs, people who have had a head start in choosing what direction they want to go in, the purpose of that direction, and equipping themselves to be capable of managing themselves whilst addressing the goal and objective. The people that's been around for a long time, that's had meaningful success. Those of us who are just been given an opportunity to compete, we're expecting to dole out and perform equally to the ones that's been doing it for quite a long time before we got to the line to start our business. Those who have been kept behind for a lot of reasons, not to say good reasons, a lot of reasons. Those who have been kept away from opportunity and the chance to take advantage of proving themselves by competing. Those who have been late starters because of inequality, unjust treatment, an unequal system. How can you compete and think you're getting the first shake in determining how you're going to finish this race if you don't have everybody starting from the same starting line? Common sense says that we shouldn't be expecting to be acting the same way as those that's been on the job site, on the race track for many years in advance, and those who's just starting, never been on the racetrack before, who is planning to utilize the racetrack for the first time with the equipment that they've been given, that we think we could compete and have the same results as those that's been working well in advance ahead of us. Common sense has to prevail. It shouldn't be expected. But the next best question would be, what's expected of the ones who had just got to the line long after the other competitors in the arena have been running? How do the late starters go about their business? We as black people need to understand that we are looking at timelines. And when it comes around to execution of responsibilities and management of affairs, how are we educating our young people in order for them to accept their role and responsibility of being new competitors on the scene, regardless if it's in politics, if it's in education, within the business systems, if it's running government? If we haven't been on the job site for a long time, it's not expected that we be able to compete with the ones that's been around for many, many years without us having to see the differences because of lack of experience and things like that. But mind you, that's no reason to indicate that we can't be achievers and what they say, high achievers at that. Because we've shown that, you know, the desire of an individual and the competence of an individual, put them together, we could do phenomenal things. So I'm not putting no timelines to success stories. I'm simply saying when we recognize our positions, when we recognize as a people what state of affairs, the number is 2971027. We're talking Balanced Matters. And I'm inviting you to have a discussion tonight. We need you. We need you. It's really, really something to take note of. That we don't even hear when we need each other. We have to force each other to participate in our best interests. That in itself should tell us something. We're not enthusiastic or excited to know that at least we want and desire to get in line to promote and produce a better showing, regardless of what category it may be in. The fact that we are in 2026 able to be relevant at a time of loss of our brilliant daughter of the soil, Ciola Wilson, known to be one of the fearless journalists in Bermuda, bright journalists, very concerned and considerate contributor in her field and profession. As much as we are hurting because of our loss, we also saw what we can become, because it was right front and center in one of our daughters of the soil. How do we feel when we think about where we come from and where we're going and what's in the future? Calling on Balanced Matters.
Yes, good evening, Brother Shakir.
Yes, good evening to you too, my brother.
Yes, brother. I'd like to give my condolences to Ciola's family.
Yes.
She was definitely a fighter,
Yes.
She done some work for me one time, as far as legal stuff,
Yes.
She got some good results. All the lawyers that I went to turned me down. But I said, well, let me go get me an investigator, reporter. And good job, how it works, right? So I went to her, right? And she took the case. And guess what? In a short period of time, it was done.
Whoa.
Because you see, Ciola went deep. Some reporters won't touch the things that Ciola touched,
Yes.
And she knew people.
Yes.
She knew how the system worked because she done a lot of research. That's what you call investigator, right?
Yes.
Reporter.
Yes.
So, hey, now, this is a message to us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We have to remember the things that she had done.
Yes.
Good stuff, right? So, we must continue on Ciola's journey and others, right? So right now we're looking at things how we're going to run Bermuda, the colonial. You mentioned that before, right?
Yes.
The system.
Yes.
That to me, is rotten to the core.
Mm-hmm.
As we look at it in this context, as we see what's going on in Bermuda as far as financing.
Yes.
The union's working with us. Thank God for Brother Chris, right? He's doing some valuable stuff there for us because he was there. So it's nice to see that he's reporting stuff to us. Right?
Yes, yes.
And more is coming, I'm sure, because we have to start asking questions and then put the solution to it. Once we know what's going on there, because, Shakir, when we start talking about health care, what our ancestors went through, and now it's affecting us. I had a talk with a senior, actually several seniors. I talk about this, what they put on, this very, very expensive insurance that this government, not the government, but the doctors put on.
Yes.
What's it called now? Copay.
Yes, yes.
This copay is hurting our seniors. So I'm asking the rate. I'm asking the person, but what rate are you paying these $200, right? $200, right? I said, no, that is not right. So I just said, look, brother, if you can get it out there for me, because a lot of seniors don't want to talk. They don't want to be, well, you know how it is,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So they need a voice.
Yes.
Because their pension is not covering.
Yes.
Their output. As soon as the pension goes in, it gets sucked right out again because of this copay.
Yes.
So something's got to be done about that. So that's why the financing in Bermuda is all messed up. We need to sit down and have a decent conversation. Dr. D has a lot of good stuff he could put in there for us, for us health care.
Yes.
And several others. So we have to get to the point where we have to start building, what we need with this corporate tax, because it's serious. It's a serious thing. We have been robbed all these years. Now it's time for us to, get what we have to get.
Yes.
But we have to come together like this show tonight.
Yes.
Right? It's very, very important that we look at that system that's been using us for decades.
Yes.
I'm going to get in trouble for this, but anyway, go on, got me.
No.
You know what I mean? So,
no, you won't get in trouble because that they say whatever trouble you're getting in is good trouble.
Yeah.
They say it's worth getting into good trouble, man. Those that went in front of us and paid a dear price, they made a sacrifice. They were held back from what they deserved because they rocked the boat.
Yeah, it's all good.
They rocked the boat. So you can't get what we need to get without having some sort of discomfort. It's no way. That's why I tell you honestly, Crawford, it really bothers me when I realize how little we're prepared to talk about important matters as a people, man. Because we, for some reason or the other, we don't want to take the risk in saying things when everybody else ahead of us who paid the price that we're standing on their shoulders for.
That's right.
These people, we wouldn't have never got the paychecks that we're getting today, the better treatment we're getting today when it comes around to civic rights, civil rights, and things like that.
Constitutional rights.
Yeah, constitutional rights, workers' rights. If it wasn't for people that paid the price ahead of us, we wouldn't be getting what we're getting today. But yet, today, we would know things need to be discussed. But for some reason or the other, we say, no, that's I'll leave it up to you. I'm not coming forward. I'm not going to say nothing.
Yeah. And that's what, it's unfortunate, Brother Shakir, because, God gave us a voice. You just can't go to church and sing the Lord's Prayer and all that stuff in the church. You have to come out. You have to put your voice out there to our community. Because we have to go on the backs of our ancestors. Brother Artie, all the brothers and the sisters, man, that carried this, this right. A right to, have health care. Things like that. Rights to what? Negotiate for higher wages.
Yes.
See, all that's so important to us. That's why this program tonight is so healthy. To not just me, but like a lot of seniors I represent.
Yes.
And they like to hear these type of things because they came through it.
Yes.
And they say not too many people are bringing things out.
Yes.
So they're listening and they want somebody to tell their story.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be this way, as I'm saying, because of the greed.
Yes.
That's what they're saying.
And we're at a point now where, because of the type of exposure that we're able to see things much better than we used to. Like, look, I made a point of something that's in history. It's not a good story, but it's an important story. That the history during the biblical times were the people that were kept enslaved by Pharaoh. Pharaoh had high priests working on his behalf to keep people enslaved. Now keep that in mind. A high priest is a person given responsibility for the masses of the public that is teaching from a religious or theological point of view. The corrupt leader of the country had high priests working for him to make sure that the slave remained a slave. Now, I don't know how many of us are willing to had the courage and the guts to accept what that is in the message that is intended for us to get. People, even with a robe on, with the cross around their neck, they were working against the best wishes of the people that they were supposed to be looking out for. They were not looking out for them. They were looking out for the higher authorities, so the higher authority system would not be messed with.
That's right.
So I don't know what else I could say for us to be willing to come alert and alive to understand what level and what distance are we prepared to look at for us to make sense of why it is that we keep stumbling. Is it because we've got people in places where we think they should be looking out for us who are actually working against us? People that you would least expect. Now, I'm not picking on the church when I say that. I'm saying that to say that's one of the most highest positions in the land that we should never want to be seen as corrupt. But guess what? I didn't say it. Biblical history says it.
Yeah, also the evidence. There's evidence there.
So I don't know how many of us are willing to want to open ourselves up and take this message in and understand that, hey, in order for you to know and expose a corrupted person, you need to have a higher learning to be able to recognize and identify them. And the masses, the authorities, the people who had controls, they didn't educate the masses enough for them to have insight to see these things. But guess what? The Creator blessed them to be exposed.
Yeah, sure. Ooh.
So I'm living in this day in 2026, mate. I'm not just talking about a time that some of us can't even remember. It's been thousands of years ago. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about 2026, where people are being encouraged by the authorities not to look. I remember talking to an individual about something that they brought to me as being a problem that they were experiencing in their church, right? And this was a good woman, man. I hurt every time I think about this story. So then she told me what she wanted me to hear. She ended it by saying this. She said, when I told my pastor what was my concern, he said, she was correct. We shouldn't be doing what she said and recognized should be stopped. But he said he doesn't want to speak to that because he don't want to disappoint the larger number of people in the church. So he's going to leave it as it is.
Oh my gosh!
Now I don't tell stories out of school like this here, mate. It doesn't make me feel good at all to tell a story like that. But we're in some serious times that we're in today, mate. And when it comes around to people who are going into church because they have such hopelessness that they think that God is the only survivor for them. The only survival is to now give their hearts to God. And now they're going to a place to get good guidance. And this is the type of stuff that the head of the church is telling her. She was right in what she observed as being incorrect behavior that was being practiced. But the pastor told her he does not want to address the issue because it would disappoint too many of the congregation, so he's going to leave it alone.
Oh my gosh! Speaking for all of those people that was there, huh? What? Who made him that?
Man, I said, well, I felt so sorry for that lady, boy. I don't know how she dealt with that, how she ended up in her congregation, because I really was at a loss. I felt her hurt, and it's in her.
You see the corruption, you see the corruption that's going on. It's right in our face.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so it's time for change.
Yeah.
There's no other way but change, right?
Yeah.
This extended, but you know what? The young ones that's coming up behind us are young airplane pilots. All those ones that's coming up you're doing all the good things are football players, you know, the girls' football. All these black men get together. These are the leaders that's going to lead, you know, the next generation after us.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we got to prepare ourselves for it, because we can't keep on accepting, you know, what's wrong.
Yes. And I say,
we know that system is wrong.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we're going to fix it.
look,
Well, at least from coming from our point of view,
no doubt about it. Maybe if we can make this relevant, if we can see ourselves in these stories that we're talking about. See, I'm not just telling these stories, brother. Look, I recall I had two sons that, because of their degrees, they ended up in the banking fraternity arena when they came out of university. And every time I think about the experience that one of them had, it hurts my soul, man, to know what he proved to be something that was systematic. And when he confronted the people involved, they didn't deny, they didn't have to verify that what he was saying was correct, but they gave no response to addressing the complaint that he had, because as far as they're concerned, it was beyond their pay grade to want to address that problem if it meant satisfying my son at the time, because he was a subordinate. He was the ones that was going up the ladder. So when it came around to recognizing some stumbling blocks, and he brought it to the attention of those who he thought would be now willing to work towards clearing that stumbling block up, they neither denied nor did they verify, but they acknowledged what he was saying was not incorrect. Point being, bro, I'm talking about bank in Bermuda. I'm not talking about somebody offshore. I'm not talking about somebody else's child. I'm willing to take the position and say, hey, I'm going to put myself on the line. I'll put my children on the line, and I'll let them know I would use their experience in the interest of us being willing to open up our eyes and understand that this is all a part of changing systems.
Yes, bro.
In order for us to improve the conditions going forward, to give our children a sense of purpose and hopefulness, we need to address the systems as they are impacting on us on a regular basis, and we cannot be doing this without rocking the boat.
That's right.
There's no way you could do it without rocking the boat, mate. Other than that, we'll be still enslaved today.
Absolutely. That's why I thank God for this station, because to those that's listening, you know, it's all about, you know, how we feel. You know, a lot of people feel like we feel, and that's God's gift. But you know, we have to put it out there to those that feel the same way. But there's a solution. We have to just, you know, brace ourselves, right? Like food production, but we're talking about that. You know, that's coming up on the table, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of things that they're doing, right, to sort of feed, you know, keep ourselves busy and produce the food, you know?
Yes.
You know, what, minibus drivers. Ships are coming in here, I think one starts on Friday. We're bringing a few people here, right?
Yes.
I mean, the minibus drivers are busy.
Yes.
They're getting busy for the season. So, you know, there's a lot of things going to happen. Bermuda's getting ready for this, might as well say, you know, independence. But we must start thinking that way.
Yes.
But we must break off from what hurting us right now, you know? Not in a bad way, but in a nice way. It's really our survival.
Look, if you using that term, independence, right? I'm gonna use that as a segue to point to something that I believe deserves some attention. Now, independence as a nation, it needs a popular vote to do that.
Right.
Independent thinking as an individual requires guts for the individual to just stand up and be accountable and responsible.
Yes.
A country that's looking towards independence if you don't have responsible, independent individuals, you will fail even if you got independence. And I want to repeat that. Even if we knew that independence would be a great thing for this island, called Bermuda, mate. If we don't understand the importance of an individual recognizing the value of independent thinking, that individual will not function correctly in an independent country. So whilst we're preparing and considering if we should or shouldn't go independent as a country, let us put some effort to something that's not going to cost us a dime.
Yes.
Let's see if you, the individual, can become a strong, courageous, independent thinker and go forward and do better than what you done yesterday in your place of worship, in your place of business, in your place of education, in your place of governmental order. Go forward and do a better job as an independent thinker and have the courage to stand up and do the best you can do for the populace that depend on you.
That's right.
That's what we need.
Donald Trump hanging around here, man. Like, this type of thinking that this God is definitely demonized to me. So yes, we need more people on board that we can move forward on how we're going to design Bermuda for the next generation, and I see it happening. But anyway, brother, let someone come on.
I thank you very much for your contribution, Crosby.
Okay, brother.
Appreciate it. Have the rest of a great evening.
You too, brother.
The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. Calling you on Balance Matters. Calling you on Balance Matters. Hello? You on Balance Matters?
Evening, Brother Cromwell.
Yes, hey, good evening to you too, my dear brother.
Listen, I enjoyed the conversation you brothers have just completed. I got on rather late, but let me say that's the crux of the matter, in my humble view. And I go straight there. I think you pointed it out. We have to develop independent thinkers or critical thinkers.
Yes.
And in this day and time, we're not taught how to think, we're taught what to think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's much of our problem. The conditioning, there's so much place in the environment, in the community that shapes our thinking, the conditioning. And so even children coming through, we had teachers years ago who were critical thinkers who taught you how to think. Our seniors, they would be very critical of us in terms of some of the things that we would do. And they would scrutinize us. But at the same time, it allowed us to view life from a different perspective. Today, we don't have that level of scrutiny, that level of critical thinking, because we want to be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, independent thinkers are marginalized.
Mm-hmm.
And let me say this, and I take your point about Ciola. She was a schoolmate of mine.
Yes.
So I knew her quite well.
Yes.
And whilst we can give Ciola her flowers, and she's worthy of it, but prior to her passing, many of us didn't see it like that.
Mm.
Or I should say, many of us reached out to let her know how much we appreciate it,
Mm-hmm.
or her independent thinking. And it's very unfortunate, because it's persons like that who have that level of talent and skill and paid her dues, so to speak, as relatively young, but she done a lot in a short period of time.
Yes.
When I heard Rick a few days ago read her biography, so to speak, and in terms of the documentaries that she's produced, she's done a lot in a short period of time.
Yes, man.
A young woman who wasn't afraid to call it, who wasn't afraid to be criticized either. And so for me, and in terms of the conversation that we're having right now, I reflect on my mortality per se and look at my age in terms of Ciola and from where we grew up and whatnot. Life is very precious. We don't have that kind of time.
Yes.
We really
Yes.
don't. And so putting it into perspective, the talents and the gifts that we have, perhaps we need to be less selfish, including myself, and find a way to share more, be more critical, be more analytical, because it would only do good for the country moving forward.
Yes.
It is a shift in thinking, and it requires training and development. And I think you've touched on to something in terms of self-determination. It's critical that we begin to step back and ask ourselves, if we're to take this plight, what will be required of us as individuals?
Yes.
Not that somebody else has to do it.
Yes.
I think that's the crux of the matter right now. We're at this crossroads.
Yes.
Are we prepared to make the sacrifice that our ancestors made in order for us to be successful? Because right now, in my humble view, we're reaping the benefits, as you pointed out earlier, of all those who came before us. But in light of the current changes and challenges, the value system and what was accomplished is now beginning to erode as we see it.
Yes.
It's not what it was 10, 15 years ago. And so what needs to happen? I think these are some of the critical questions that need to be answered. Maybe we need to sit with people who do not appreciate our thinking sometimes, just to move us forward. I remember President Barack Obama when he was in office. And I clearly remember when he and Hillary Clinton had that debate. And Barack brought her into his cabinet, and many people felt like, why is that? He was an arch rival of him at the time. No, he kept us cohesive. Different thoughts, divergent thinking.
Yes.
But it helped to push the envelope, helped us to get to where we got to go. And so sometimes it's not so much that we need like minds so close to us, or perhaps unlike minds, if the objective is the same.
Yes. In fact, when you making that point, I remember getting wise counsel from a mentor of mine that said, if and when you end up in any type of leadership, make sure you have a divergence of people around your table. You don't want similar thinkers around the table. You want diversification that represents your community around the table.
Sure.
The ones that you may not even agree with. In order for you to understand how the community is thinking, you need representation of each group of people around your table. Now that's tough. It didn't take me long to see the wisdom in that. It's not about the individual. It's about who we are making decisions for in the interest of. And once we get that right, we could get beyond our feelings about each other and understand what the needs that we have an obligation to fulfill.
Absolutely. You know, on that point, I clearly recall former Premier Alex Scott when he created the Independence Commission.
Yes.
And the representation he had from across the country.
Yes.
It's probably the closest where we've been in terms of making an informed decision about self-determination.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a similar kind of exercise, in my humble view,
yes,
required going forward. Whether the politicians slug it out or not in terms of the vote and referendum and so forth, the bottom line is that the people really need to be informed.
Yes.
As I said earlier, what's my role in this here? And as you pointed out, this level of independent thinking, critical.
Yes.
And so as we move forward, it's going to be important to identify talents and persons who think like this. We have a lot of independent thinkers out there at Westgate. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of our challenge is we don't throw away people. We have to find a way to educate, to motivate, to inspire.
Yes.
Because the numbers are so few here. And I first admit, I don't have all the answers. I don't. But I do know there's some brilliant minds.
Actually, you making that point,
find a way I'm sorry, go ahead.
Before I left home this evening, I spent the time in the quiet of driving down to the studio and thinking about what I recognize as being complex. You know, this subject is complex, but it has a simplistic view of seeing what causes it to be complex. I have clarity in my mind and heart to see what's needed, but to institute these things is complex. So I don't see the problem as recognizing the complexity. It's important for us to find a way to bring these things out to be better utilized, because we know what we should and shouldn't be doing. That is my satisfaction. I'm not bothered about how complex the problem is. It's about us being able to utilize the resources to address the complexities.
There you go.
And there lies why I beg on Balance Matters for people to not be hesitating and on the sidelines when we hear these things of interest that we know is undeniable, because to those who know better, we are expected to do better. And I don't know who we're waiting for to talk about these things. I really don't. I don't know what will make us feel as though it's our turn to say something, particularly when we know something that's worthy of being shared. I don't get it, man. I'm telling you, it bothers me when I think about this, man.
Well, let me say this. I believe, much like your previous caller, Balance Matters, your platform provides an opportunity for others to not only hear others, but formulate ideas and thoughts for oneself. And I believe, there's no doubt you're doing your part. And hopefully, as time moves on, others will see the value and work out, so to speak, in their own space and time. Because I do believe that this program, as your previous caller pointed out, persons listen and may act or react in their own sphere. We may never know. I may never know. And you may never know. But I do believe it's a form of encouragement, as I say, opportunity, that allows persons to formulate some ideas and hopefully move in a more positive direction where we can eventually see the results down the road. That's my optimism.
Yes.
And so, and it's not that I know you're not getting discouraged, because I know you're a man of faith and you're moving in a particular space. But I would say to those of us listening as well, that there's two parts to this program, right? Well, you provide it, but for those of us who listen and call in with the understanding, as you laid out weeks ago, where we want to go as it relates to issues and problems in Bermuda.
Yes.
And so it is my hope, and I'm very optimistic. You're right. It's not about waiting for people or anyone else. It's about moving in this space.
Yes.
And I try to put it in that context when I think of Seal and others who have made a contribution and have moved on. My encouragement would be, let's get it done.
Yes.
Try and get it done.
Yes.
I often remind some of my students, and I would share with them, and I ask the question, if you guys were on your deathbed, in the case if I was on my deathbed, I'd ask the question, what can I say that I've done all that I wanted to do based on what was given to me? That's a difficult question. And if you feel you haven't done that, and there are things you need to do, then simply put, make it happen.
Yes.
Because tomorrow or today or later is not promised to any of us. And so if we want to fulfill our purpose and why we're living, then it's incumbent for us to get busy and make something happen, at least from a positive standpoint.
Yes.
So I thank you for what you do, continue to do, you and the family, and the support that you receive, and the courage that you demonstrate. Because this is not an easy topic either. And I think that's a huge part of what's lacking with us. Courage, some form of sacrifice at the expense of self.
Yes.
Because maybe the examples around us, those who step out of line or those who feel they're going to be left out, and they ask the question, is it worth it?
Yes.
And so I believe that's some of what we have to deal with as well. How do we develop courage? How do we deal with courage? Are we prepared to address that which is before us, even though we know it is wrong? The example that you pointed out with respect to your son. Would there be a common practice amongst common people to point out some kind of wrong or fault or shortcoming as it relates to supervisors? How many of us have that courage or that desire to do that? Because being an independent thinker is one thing. The next step is, can you address what's on your mind? That level of courage, if that's what we want to call it, is challenging for us. But again, I think this program lends the opportunity for us to think about it and begin to develop it, or at least put into perspective our view and how we can improve our personal lives. I think I've said enough tonight, but I thank you for the opportunity, and may God continue to bless you.
I thank you for your contribution, and I'm certain that as long as we do what we've been doing, we're going to have progress and success. I have no doubt about it. No doubt about it. It's just that with this human sensitivity, I just need to express myself sometimes, man.
No, alhamdulillah. Hey, listen, I understand. And sometimes, it's overbearing.
Yes.
Because there's so much in us that we want so much for ourselves, for our people.
Yes. Yes. And we're losing unnecessary lives along the way, man. We need to keep in mind that the longer we take to address a matter, on my way to the studio, I saw an accident. I'm talking about fresh. I saw the guy getting out of the car after the bike struck him. He had just been struck by a guy in the back of his car. And he got out to direct the traffic to make sure nobody else struck the bike or struck the car. I said, man, I'm coming. That could have been me.
Sure.
That's the way I saw it right away. I said, man, look at this here. I'm seeing a fresh accident. That could have been me, man. Then I drove about 2 minutes down the road. I said, and it could be one of my sons who's riding the bike. I don't know.
Sure.
I didn't see the bike. I said, it looked like the same type of bike my son rides. I said, and no telling. I'm only saying, in reality, it could have been any one of us. That's the point I'm making, man. And God knows, man, when it comes down to opportunity and future, we don't want to be saying, I wish I could have, should have, would have. We don't want to be saying that, man.
No, man. No, you're right. You're right. And, it's interesting you point that out as well. No, accidents are happening across the board. But look at what the black community, Afro-Bermudan community is going through.
Yes.
And I'm not attempting to be discriminatory. Just call it for what it is.
Yes.
In terms of the stabbing.
Yes. Shocks me.
The violence. The level of accidents. This wasn't something that our ancestors sacrificed for. And so in our little spheres, it's that silent conversation, just hoping that they'll begin to understand.
Yes,
because
man.
there's a mindset swirling out there that says I'm invincible.
And a family is hurting, and a family is hurting at the end of the day.
No doubt.
No one person, a family is hurting.
But the fact that, a young lady who lost her life over the weekend, I don't know her, and I know she's a school student. That pains me.
Yeah.
You can't begin to imagine. and while some of them don't quite understand, yeah, when you get old enough, you begin to realize that is someone's child. It is a family. What are the parents feeling?
Yes, sir, man.
And the grandparents.
Yes, sir, man. Yes.
Enough said. Anyhow, my brother, stay strong.
Thank you very kindly for your contribution, my brother, and let us keep on keeping on, man.
We will push on.
Have the rest of a great evening.
You as well.
Calling on Balance Matters.
Yes, good evening, my dear brother.
Yes, good evening to you too. Walaikum assalam.
You know, I'm a big fan of Bob Marley. I think Bob Marley was a prophet. Many people believe that. Some of his lyrics in particular is very relevant to today. In particular, his song called Could You Be Loved? It's not so much a love song. It's more about whether a person is truly able to receive, give, and live in love,
yes,
despite the pressure, injustice, and all the doubt around him. And given that, I mentioned to you a couple of weeks ago, it's one of my favorite songs.
Yes.
I've written a letter to the youth of Bermuda. I'd like to share with you and your listening audience.
Go ahead.
If I may?
Yes, certainly. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, to the youth of Bermuda. You are royalty, and you don't even know it. You are kings and queens, wasting your power on war with one another, while the real enemy smiles and watches you destroy yourselves. Violence is a trap. It looks like strength, but it's weakness dressed up. Anyone can pull a trigger. Anyone can swing a blade. Real courage is walking away when your pride is on fire. Real courage is saying no when your friends say yes to foolishness. That's warrior spirit. Those you are fighting and killing, they look like you. Same skin, same blood, same struggle. Every youth you hurt is a whole family you tear down. Mothers, fathers, children, generations. When you kill your brother, you're killing your own future. You're doing Babylon's work for them. Don't let them fool you or even try to school you.
Yes.
Them is not just the government or the police or some big system out there. Them is any voice on the street, online, in music, in your head that tells you you are nothing, your life is cheap, you got to prove yourself by violence, you can't change. Those are lies. You are worth more than the corner you stand on. You are bigger than the gang you claim. You are more than the worst thing you've ever done. The road of life is rocky, and you may stumble too. Every man and woman makes mistakes. Maybe you've already done those things you're ashamed of. Maybe you lost friends to the gun, to the knife, to prison. Maybe you feel there is no way out. I tell you this, as long as you have breath, you have a choice. You can turn around. You can say, this ends with me. The bravest youth is the one who breaks the chain, not the one who tightens it. Ask yourselves, could you be loved and be loved? Can you let love reach you? Can you forgive yourself? Can you let go of hate you've been carrying from childhood, from disrespect, from betrayal? Hate is heavy. It's a load on your back. Every day you carry it, you bend lower. Love lightens you, makes you stand tall again. Don't live your life for reputation on this our small rock. The world is big. Your talent can carry you far if you don't throw it away. Sport, music, trades, business, art, farming, technology. There is something in you that Babylon cannot touch. unless you hand it over. To the young men, strength is not how dangerous you are. Strength is how much you can protect, how much you can build. A real man provides safety, not fear. Be the man your little brother can look up to, not the man he has to bury. To the young women, know your worth. Don't cheer on destruction. Don't love the badness until it turns on you. You are life givers. Use your influence for peace, not for hype. A community cannot heal without its women standing firm. To those already deep in it, you might think, man, this is my life now. I can't get out. That's Babylon talking. There's always a crack in the wall. One elder who believes in you, one program, one job, one talent, one moment where you decide, I don't want my mother crying over my body. I don't want my son growing up without a father like I did. Start small. Put down one revenge. Walk away from one argument. Talk to one youth instead of threatening him. Apologize to one person you wronged. That's how revolutions start, in the heart of one youth who is tired of death. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Your mind is the true battlefield. If you clean it up, clear out the hate, the shame, the hopelessness, you will see options you've never saw before. Read, learn, reason with people who won't battle for you. Pray if you're a praying person. Meditate if you meditate. But don't let your mind run wild under the control of anger and fear. Bermuda youth, our island is beautiful. Your island is beautiful. But beauty means nothing if the people are at war with themselves. Turn that war of fire inside you toward building, not breaking. Form crews for business, for music, for sport, for community work. Unite around progress, not revenge. Could you be loved? Yes. Could you live in love? Yes. But you must choose it every single day, even when you're disrespected, even when you're angry, even when you're afraid. Love would never leave us alone. It's waiting on you. Don't wait until you or your brethren are in a coffin to understand that. God bless you. God bless Bermuda and the people of Bermuda.
Thank you for your contribution, my brother. Have the rest
Have
of
a
a
good
great
evening.
evening. You do likewise. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. For the listening audience, as quick as that contributor ended his call, which was the reading of a letter that he had. He wanted us, the listening audience, to hear it. To the caller, someone sent a message by virtue of my social media. It's from England, who's listening to the program via online. He said that was a powerful poem, courage being the key that unlocks. Also hold firm to the community. The community is listening. He wants us to hear that. He wanted you to hear that. He wanted me to hear that. Hold firm. The community is listening. The number is 297-1027. 1027. We're talking Balance Matters.
Good evening, Mr. Shakir.
Good evening
It's
to you
Fernand
too.
touching base.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm calling to say bravo, bravo to the gentleman that just went off.
Yes.
Well expressed. My goodness, we need to hear more from him in town hall meetings and all kinds of get-together. I mean, he covered everything. So I just want to say bravo, bravo.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful to you, sir,
Yes.
who just finished reading
Yes.
that touching, thought-provoking, uplifting words.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for your
Bravo.
contribution as well. Because
I'm sorry?
I said thank you very much for acknowledging that, because, you know, sometimes we don't know how people receive things, and for that confirmation to come immediately after his delivery, I'm pretty certain that goes a long way. And I thank you.
Yes, you're
I
welcome.
thank you. I thank you.
And all the best to you, and all the best to the gentleman who just got off.
Yes.
That is touching. We need to hear more from him,
Yes.
whether it's of the same
Yes.
wordings or something different. But
Yes.
he spoke well.
Yes. Appreciate it.
So, until next time,
Yes.
take care. God bless you and yours. as well.
Likewise, you and yours, my dear.
Thank you.
The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. We have approximately little more than 10 minutes for the program before we shut down. So anyone that would like for us to hear an extension of your thoughts, please call us and let us know what you think about what we've done thus far, what we've said thus far, even if we need to be corrected. Believe me, we trust in each other to want to say what is in our best interest, even when we're not doing what we're supposed to do. It's okay to remind us that we slipped up and a correction is necessary, and we'll do that and move on. So there's nothing that should limit us from support as to what the intent and purpose of the program is. The number is 297-1027. We're talking Balance Matters. Many of our black educated men and women are not situated mentally and emotionally to cooperate and stand by their commitment to make the right decisions and correct the wrongs. Their problem is associated to their mindset. Decolonizing must take place for a successful renewal of the people and of the systems that we know of in our environment here in Bermuda. We have a group soul. The loss of Jesse Jackson is like a loss from one of us. When you look at what attracted Jesse Jackson to follow and be mentored by Martin Luther King Jr. was the same civil rights struggles that we express here in the islands of Bermuda, that we experienced here in the islands of Bermuda. We have our great civil rights fighters, our great workers' rights fighters, our great educational, those who wanted to fight for a better education for those who were not respected enough to be given the best opportunity in education. We have those that made a great contribution to make sure that was to be stopped and redirected. We should want to know, are we managing our affairs to know what changes we're making that is necessary to deal with the time that we're living in? Because as time is going by, when we make these great contributions and we have magnificent changes being seen to be done by great contributors like Ciola Wilson, like Jesse Jackson, like all that we know of in Bermuda. And I'm intentionally staying away from calling any one or two names of Bermudians. For those who know better, you have an opportunity to speak about that yourself. But we have enough to know that we're living in a time where 28 years after the first change of government ever in Bermuda, since 1998, we should be measuring change to see if we're making adequate change in every capacity. In the political arena, in the governmental arena, in the educational arena, in the business arena. Are we addressing the unfair practices that we knew was taking place before we fought against the injustices? Are we able to measure and know what type of changes we need to make to address the needs of today? These are not lightweight issues. These are not lightweight thoughts, because our children's hopelessness is real. The unnecessary suffering and loss of life from our young people, but in particular, the black community. In particular, the black community. Why? Because the statistics is heartbreaking to know who are the ones in the listing of unnecessary hardship and loss of life. Cannot act as though it's not happening. And because of our unique set of circumstances as a people that has a unique set of problems, and we have special needs because we started competing against the competitors very much later than when they got started. So we have a whole different need that will be required for us to start building on building in the areas where we have opportunity to begin establishment in areas where we know of workers, the new mind and the new future for those who were marginalized or are marginalized, and those who were singled out to be mistreated, miseducated, those who have been singled out to be treated unfairly and unjustly. In order for us to do better for our children and the future of our children and our families, we have to address what needs to be changed so as to be certain that we're moving away from systems that was intended to hold us back. Unless we're willing and courageous enough to say yes to this, then we have no other choice but to stand in line and continue to be the maintainers, the perpetrators of an old system intended to mistreat, misdirect, miseducate, and mismanage the marginalized and those who have been under the systems because of enslavement and, in turn, injustices. After coming out of enslavement, we were faced with unjust systems. So, once again, in closing, and I'm glad that one of the callers reminded us that we had a loss of the young ladies down at Stern Crusher Corner. I did forget that, and I have to give my deepest condolences to the family of the young lady who lost her life as a pillion passenger down at Stern Crusher Corner in St. George's. And once again, the loss of our daughter of the soil, Ciola Wilson, a brilliant journalist, a fearless worker in the cause of doing the best in the interest of Bermuda. Thank you, Connie, for tuning in to Balance Matters. Tune in next week. Have the rest of a great evening.
You've been listening to Balance Matters, heard Tuesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. here on
Bermuda Live on YouTube. Subscribe now.